my goodness. This is a trip back in time. Wow, what a beautiful building.
Well, welcome to the interior of Sutters Fort. It covered almost 2 city blocks in its original formation. Sutter arrived in 1839 and began constructing the fort almost immediately. This building that we see in front of us here, known as the Central Building or La Casa Grande in John Sutter's time, was the first permanent structure built in the interior of California. The first building built in the Central Valley.
Okay, so the missions were before, but they're coastal.
The missions, the rancho system, that was established as early as 1769.
So this really is the first one on the inland part of California.
Yes, exactly. When Sutter arrived here, of course, this was populated by thousands and thousands of California Indians. While this is the original building, the rest of the fort is a reconstruction done in the 1890s. So even it is now more than 100 years old. The original walls were, in many cases, simply taken down. The bricks were used to build the buildings of what became downtown Sacramento.
It is fascinating to me that you can literally put your hands on the origins of Sacramento.
Yes, yes it is. This big wooden header that we see right here in this, so this was added during the Gold Rush era.
Why?
And this was a freight door so that they could access and back wagons up to this to load and unload supplies. See, in Sutter's time, this was his central administration building. It was originally his house as well, but during the Gold Rush, when tens of thousands of people from all over the world descend upon this region, and these are the only buildings anywhere around, this became the first hotel in California, and the basement down here became a billiard parlor, bowling alley, and card room.
Wow.
So
the origins of all of that right here in this one building. Think about how many of those places you just named we have now, restaurants, bars, tourist attractions, and this is where it began.
And this is where it all began. William Tecumseh Sherman, the famous Civil War general, once said in a speech that the man most responsible for California becoming a part of the United States was John Sutter.
And he wasn't even from America. He came here from, guess, do you know where he came from? Switzerland.
Switzerland was where his last destination before coming to the New World.
Tell us about all of this.
So, you know, this is a typical wagon that pioneers would have brought 2,000 miles from Missouri to California. You notice it's not much bigger than a minivan. And into this, you had to place everything that you needed for life on the trail for 5 months, plus everything you needed to make a new life in California. People didn't even travel inside the wagon. If you were inside the wagon, it's because you were ill or something had happened to you, you'd broken a leg. No, people walked to California.
Oh my gosh.
A 2,000-mile walk. This little space was packed with everything you needed on the trail, everything you needed for your new life in California, and things that you picked up along the way.
John Sutter played a role in the Donner Party story. Was he expecting them?
Well, he was expecting a large migration that year, and what we don't often hear is, yes, while the Donner Party did get trapped in the mountains that winter of 46-47, almost 3,000 other people made it here safely.
Okay.
In fact, many of those people that were leading the Donner Party into California actually participated in their rescue. But it was Sutter who was largely responsible for their rescue. He provided the goods and material that were sent up to give them food until they could get out of the mountains. At least 2 of his Indians died as a result of trying to rescue the settlers that were trapped in the mountains. Patty Reed, her famous doll, is on display perpetually here at Sutters Fort in our museum. It's probably our most famous artifact, but the reason she donated it and all of her collection of California history, which is huge, is because she felt a great affinity for the fort because of the salvation it gave to her and her family after that horrid winter of 46-47. by 1848, during the discovery of gold, he owned over 100,000 acres of the Sacramento Valley. He initially, in 1840, acquired a land grant of about 50,000 acres. That one was known as New Helvetia, or New Switzerland. He named it after his homeland from where he was immigrating. And then later he acquired another 96,000 acres that became known as the sobrante, or surplus lands. And that was about everything else between here and Reading that wasn't owned by somebody else.
Wow. Was he friendly with the Mexican government?
I would say that they had a dichotomous relationship. That on one hand, they've given him this ground. On the other, they fear that he's a threat because he was able to establish a permanent settlement and thrive, something they had never been able to do,
well,
even though they had
tried.
tried.
Right?
They never thought he would succeed. Around the perimeter of the fort are the various rooms. Each of these different rooms talks about a different, yes, we may go in, talks about a different aspect of California history or the material culture of California. We're in the bakery room. So this is where Sutter's laborers made hardtack in vast quantities or where they prepared meals simply for the day. Remember, Sutter's daily workforce during times of harvest or planting are going to be somewhere around 500 or 600 people that need to be fed. Next door to the bakery is the loom room. So
the loom room.
The way Sutter expected to make money initially was to manufacture things that he could sell on the frontier. And blankets are something that's demanded by everyone. So the looms behind us here, these are complicated pieces of machinery to be made on the frontier.
I love the cannon. It's just pretty.
That's the cannon you're going to fire today.
This one?
Sutter's Russian gun.
Wow, I thought it would be on the roof.
Nope, this was the only piece of rolling artillery in California.
All right.
Okay,
okay?
Don't stab yourself. You're okay.
I'm gonna put in earplugs.
Put your earplugs in.
Here we go, kids.
All right.
Jeez Louise.
He's got to get close enough to shoot it, Mike.
What do I do?
Fire when ready.
What do you mean, fire?
Fire! Touch it.
Touch what? Oh,
touch the gunpowder.
Is it gonna happen immediately?
Yep.
Ah! All right, here we go. Jeez,
let's secure the piece. Well, it went off. It was tight, whatever it was.
That thing was hot.
That thing was hot. We got it. Good job. Nice job. You're a gunner now. Welcome to Sutters Army.
That is an experience I will never forget. So thank you so much.
You know, my pleasure, Rob. Thank you for coming to Sutters Fort. Welcome to Sutters Army. You know, as I said, the cannons were never fired in anger, but they were fired in celebration and a salute to visiting dignitaries. You're our visiting dignitary.
Oh, please. You are. You are.
Today we celebrate Rob on the road being with us at Sutters Fort. You know, I hope that everybody gets a chance to visit the fort. It is a much more important and much more interesting place in history than anyone could ever imagine.